He wasn't just a pirate. He controlled the entire Mediterranean. This is the story of the man Europe... Brace yourselves! Fire! Send them to the depths.
All right, let's dive into an absolutely incredible story. We're talking about a man who started life as the son of a simple potter on an island and ended up becoming the most feared, the most powerful admiral on the planet's most contested sea. His name was Barbarossa. And let me tell you, he didn't just sail the Mediterranean, he owned it.
You know, back in the 16th century, things were intense. And in that high-stakes world, one name was whispered with this mix of total terror and just complete awe. To his enemies in Europe, he was the devil himself, a ruthless pirate. But on the other side, to the Ottoman Empire, he was a national hero, a brilliant admiral. So, the big question is, how? How did one guy, a man nicknamed Redbeard, manage to seize total control of the world's most vital, most violent sea? Well, that's the puzzle we're going to piece together right now. So our story really kicks off not just with one man, but with two brothers. Imagine this. They're born on the Greek island of Lesbos, and they're looking out at this chaotic, wild Mediterranean Sea. But where most people saw danger, they saw something else entirely. They saw an empire just waiting to be taken. And these two, they were a perfect team. Seriously, like something out of a movie. You had Urich, the elder brother. He was the warrior, right? All charisma, totally fearless, always the first one leading the charge. But then you had Hayrettin, the younger one. And he was the real genius behind it all. He was the quiet strategist, the planner who turned their simple raids into this incredibly sophisticated operation. Think of it like this. Urich was the sword, but Hayrettin was the mind telling that sword exactly where to strike. And their rise to power was just meteoric. I mean, they start out as scrappy raiders, and then boom, by 1516 they've captured the entire city of Algiers. This gives them their own little kingdom on the North African coast, a huge deal. But then, just 2 years later, in 1518, disaster strikes. Urich, the warrior, is killed in battle. And just like that, Hayrettin the strategist is all alone. The sword was shattered, and now only the mind was left. Now, this is the moment. This is where Hayrettin proves he's so much more than just a pirate. He's a brilliant politician. He absolutely knew, that without his brother's muscle, he was a sitting duck. So, to survive, let alone thrive, he had to make a choice. He had to stop being a lone wolf and join the biggest, most powerful pack around. Okay, quick sidebar here, but it's super important. We keep calling them pirates, and yeah, they were, but technically the Barbarossa brothers were what you'd call corsairs or privateers, and what that means is they had the official backing of a government. So think about that. They weren't just random outlaws, they were basically a state-sanctioned weapon. So Hayrettin makes this absolutely brilliant strategic move. He looks at the situation. He knows the massive Spanish Empire wants Algiers back, and there's no way he can hold it alone. At the same time, the Ottoman Sultan over in Istanbul, he desperately needs a naval base in the Western Med to challenge Spain. You see where this is going? It was a perfect match. Barbarossa goes to the Sultan and says, "I'll give you my fleet, my territory, my whole operation." And the Sultan says, "Deal." In return, Barbarossa gets troops, he gets legitimacy, and he gets a shiny new title, Grand Admiral of the entire Ottoman Navy. Just like that, the Pirate King becomes an imperial commander. So now he's an admiral for a global superpower, and Barbarossa is about to face his greatest test yet. We're talking about a battle that would echo through history. And listen, to call him the underdog here, that would be the understatement of the century. The Pope himself had put together what they called a Holy League. This was the combined naval power of Venice, Spain, the Papal States, basically all the heavy hitters. And they had one single mission: find Barbarossa's fleet and obliterate it. Wipe it from the sea forever. The numbers alone tell you everything you need to know. We're at the Battle of Preveza in 1538. Barbarossa has about 122 ships. The Holy League, led by this famous admiral, Andrea Doria, shows up with over 300 ships. I mean, more than double. This was the absolute classic matchup. Barbarossa's brilliant tactics against the sheer, overwhelming brute force of a much, much bigger enemy. What happened next was just a masterclass in naval strategy. And when all the smoke cleared from the cannons, The result was just unbelievable. The number of ships that Barbarossa lost in that fight? 0. Not a single one. Let that sink in. He had completely destroyed a fleet more than twice the size of his own, and he didn't lose a single ship. The impact of this was immediate, and it was absolutely decisive. See, the Battle of Preveza wasn't just a victory. It was a statement, a huge one. It completely shattered European naval confidence and basically handed the keys to the Mediterranean to the Ottoman Empire for the next 30 years.
You know, what's maybe most amazing is that Barbarossa went on to live a long, full life. He died of old age in his palace in Istanbul. For a man in his line of work, that's almost unheard of. So when it's all said and done, what was his ultimate legacy?
Oh, his legacy is just immense. For starters, he secured total Ottoman naval dominance for a generation. He cemented North Africa's place as a key part of the Ottoman world. And of course, he became a living legend, both feared and admired. But I think his greatest legacy, the big takeaway, is that he proved beyond a shadow of a doubt that a brilliant mind and a perfect strategy will always, always beat brute force. And all of this leaves us with one final thought. Barbarossa was an absolute master of his time, of wind, sails, and cannons. But what about today? In our world of satellites, of naval drones, of cyber warfare, could one single legendary commander ever dominate the seas like that again? Or was he truly the last of his kind? It's something to think about.